That high-stakes court hearing wraps up in the legal battle over whether a neutral special master will review seized documents from the FBI raid at Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate. A federal judge in Florida hearing arguments today from the Justice Department and the former president's legal team and ending proceedings without a decision from the bench. Trump's attorneys say that a special master is necessary to ensure an independent review of the documents. Well, the DOJ is arguing a special master is not needed because investigators have already reviewed the material for potentially privileged records. All of this coming 2 days after that scathing court filing from the Department of Justice accusing Trump's lawyers of obstructive conduct during efforts to retrieve those classified documents that the former president was hoarding. ABC News senior investigative reporter Aaron Kantersky live outside the courthouse there in West Palm Beach, Florida. Aaron, tell me what happened inside that courtroom. You were there, and you also witnessed there would be no decision made. Bring us up to date.
No immediate ruling from the judge, Kira, but she said she would issue a written decision in due time. And during the court hearing, which lasted the better part of 2 hours or so, the attorneys for former President Trump really didn't get into the specific accusations that members of Trump's team may have obstructed the investigation. But one of their attorneys did say that the temperature right now is very high, and they cast the decision to appoint a special master to review what was seized on August 8th from Mar-a-Lago as a way to restore order and restore the public trust. The Justice Department doesn't see it that way at all. They did not characterize the relationship with former President Trump's team, but federal prosecutors did say, what role is there for a special master to play because a former president could not exert privilege on documents that are not even his property anymore?
Well, clearly Donald Trump wants to freeze this investigation into his handling of these classified documents. The question now, Aaron, is how far can he go in his efforts?
The former president's attorneys really downplayed former President Trump's possession of classified material, more than 300 pages of it for more than a year since he left office at Mar-a-Lago. They said it's like having an overdue library book. And they said that these are potentially personal records, maybe presidential records that are rightfully his, and the Justice Department doesn't see it that way. They say that he's no longer the president. He had no right to take the documents, and his team potentially is obstructing their investigation into how they ended up here in Florida to begin with. And so they said there was no need for a special master, in part because it would just slow the works down. And that, as you say, Kira, may be entirely the intent of the former president.
So, Aaron, you were talking about mishandling sensitive defense and national security materials. Heavy words. The president said he declassified those documents. His lawyers didn't say that in court.
They did not say that, although there was one small reference toward the end from one of his attorneys, Jim Trusty, to say they had not conceded any point about classification status. We're not quite sure whether that was a reference to what the former president has been saying, that he declassified all these materials that were found in his home. But they did not make a formal legal argument in court today that the materials were declassified, so no harm, no foul, the way the former president is trying to portray it. Instead, they said this was a way to lower the temperature, to restore public faith in the administration of justice, because they say that the former president's rights seem to have been trampled. His attorneys questioned whether this search warrant was suspect. And the Justice Department really did take issue with that. They said that the former president unlawfully possessed classified materials at Mar-a-Lago, and that this search was authorized by a federal magistrate after demonstrating probable cause of crimes.
And sort of bringing it full circle back to the very beginning, Aaron, as this process continues, we wait for the judge to give a ruling after today's proceedings. Do you think, unless Donald Trump decides to come forward and talk, which many a times he does, you never know when it's going to happen, and it could happen at any time, are we ever going to find out, or could he ever be forced to tell us, or tell the American public, tell the world, why he took those classified documents in the first place?
It's an explanation that certainly the Justice Department would like, and that they have not been able to mention, at least publicly yet. His attorneys didn't do it again today. But we are a long way from this case going down the road toward any potential criminal charges. The judge still has to decide whether to appoint the special master. And here, Kira, the judge seemed at different points during the hearing to be open to it. She asked the Justice Department what would be the harm, and whether it was fully settled law that a former president couldn't exert privilege over certain documents from the time of his administration. The judge also, though, was skeptical at times, questioning the former president's attorneys. What exactly do you want the special master to do, given that all these documents have been reviewed by Justice Department prosecutors and they can't unsee what they've learned?
So looking forward, and I know it is too soon to tell, but ultimately, do you think we could see criminal charges here? Could we see Attorney General Merrick Garland go forward if the evidence does exist with these allegations of mishandling national security information and also the allegations of obstruction? Wouldn't he have no choice to move forward and possibly indict if indeed he could show the evidence exists in both those areas?
Like many criminal matters, Kira, there would be the matter of intent, and we are also dealing with a rather unique defendant. The former president, being a former president of the United States, is given some deferential treatment, I think. That's not to say there are others, perhaps, in former President Trump's orbit who also could fall under suspicion and potentially be criminally charged. But we're a long way from that. Prosecutors have portrayed their investigation as in the early stages, and they're still trying to assess whether any national security secrets were compromised or exposed by having these 300-plus pages of classified documents stored unsecured at the former president's estate.
You know what? We have a couple minutes to talk here, Aaron. We finally got you. You were able to come out of those hearings and sort of give us the first inside look, because cameras were not allowed in the courtroom. You know, besides just what we've been talking about, the obvious, did anything stand out to you or catch your attention as you were inside listening to the details, hearing both sides present their argument? Anything that we're not talking about that you found interesting or you think could take this a step further, possibly?
I found it interesting how the two sides seem to be talking at real cross purposes and almost at different levels. On one hand, the former president's attorneys said they found it astounding that the Justice Department would oppose the special master, which they said was sort of a routine, rather innocuous matter. Just get an extra set of eyes on the documents, restore some public trust. It's not a big deal in their estimation. And then to hear the Justice Department team really take issue with the idea of giving an inch to the former president, because they repeatedly said he's not the president anymore and he had no right to any of this material, and just having it, they said, in court was unlawful. So the two sides were really talking at cross purposes through much of the hearing, Kira.
All right, Aaron Katersky, our senior investigative reporter. Appreciate you so much. Thank you, Aaron.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.